My name is Dorielle. I'm a customer success manager here at monday.com, and we're going to have an advanced webinar for the marketing walkthrough. I'm going to show you 3 specific boards, which are use cases for banner and landing page requests. Think of it more like creative requests from designers, content, so on and so forth, copywriters, a social media planning and design, or an editorial calendar, as you want, Kimberly. And we're going to go over marketing campaign tracking. And I want to show you an email marketing integration that we have with MailChimp. And then I want to show you a sneak peek of how in 2 weeks you're going to be able to integrate with Facebook for Facebook ads. So I'll show you guys that as well. And lastly, I'm going to show you dashboards. So let's begin in a minute. I just want to pull up the Facebook thing that I wanted to show you guys. So I have it open. And then we're going to begin. Awesome. Okay. Let's begin and landing page request. I'm assuming you guys, I'm just going to talk about the basics really quickly, but I'm sure you guys know that this is a board. Each one of these are called a group, and each row is called an item. Today we're going to go over integrations, automations, views, and a lot more fun stuff. So the way I divided my board here is between months, but you can do this between clients or projects, and it really just depends on your workflow. And the way we did it here, you can do it any way you want, but a cool way to get a brief before working on a creative request is using the form. So a form basically takes all your columns and makes it a link that other people can fill out, which they can upload files, a text column of like what they're looking for, the size of the banner that they want the designer to create. And okay, let me show you how to create a form. But basically this form comes in here, and then the team lead of the creative design team or any other team can assign a certain designer to work on it. So let me show you guys how to create and add a form. If anything is too fast or something is not clear, please write it to me in the chat and I'll try clarifying. So I can go here, add view. I recommend you guys check the view section because it's just another way to show all your items, just see things on a calendar or in a chart, or you want a file view, just another way to see certain things on your board. So goes the form view. And like I said, it takes certain columns, not the person column, of course, but other columns that you can hide or make viewable for the person that is going to be given the form, that they can upload this file. And if you want to require it, you can always do a checkbox, and then they can't submit the form without filling this information in. So you can really just create any column with anything that you guys need when a creative request comes in, make it a form, share the form, preview the form, show you guys how a form looks like. The name of the request you want to add a certain brief with a certain, I know each company has a certain structure that they use. When do you need it by, the priority, and so on and so forth. You can take this link after, one second, let me click on the form. I can share it. I can get this link or embed it in a website, copy it, send it to whoever. Let's just look, I'll just show you guys. Let's fill it in and you can see webinar request test. I can add a certain file, for example. Right now, everything is in the planning ideas phase and I need the creative department to help me. It's right now where I'm working on it. I need it by May 23rd and it's in highest priority. I want to submit it. And let me show you guys how it comes in on the board. Webinar request test. So it's always going to come into the first group, which is important to know. And then it can be called ideas or requests coming in, and then I can just go ahead, take it, and move it to a certain group that I think it's relevant for. In this case, it needs to be done by May, so I'm going to keep it in this group. I can move it to another board or another group, depending on how you outline your workflow. Just to make sure you guys are all with me, is this clear? Write in the chat yes or no. If you understood the form and it's interesting to you, just write yes so I can get feedback while you guys are listening. Yay, yes, yes. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. I'm glad you guys are listening and understand everything. Great. If any of these columns are, you're not familiar with them, just write me in the chat and I'll go over them as well. But now I'll just give like a brief overview. This is the person column. As you guys know, we have our 7 core columns here. And then we have more interesting columns when I go to more columns. So it's either a timeline where I can have it also on the item itself and also as a view. We'll get to that soon. Dale, you just asked, assuming one form can populate several columns on one board? Yes, Dale, you are correct. Every column that you create can be, almost every column you create can be in a form view, and people can fill it out and it comes in as an item on the board. Great, so this is our column center. What we used here is a priority one, or we named it priority, but it's basically a rating column. We have a file column and we have a tags column. What I love about the tag column is if I click on this right now, it's going to do a cross-board search about every board I have on my account, and it's going to search Facebook. It's going to do a cross-board search. Let me just show you guys how that works. I can see that it's my board specifically. I can see that it's another board. And then if I have a certain project I'm working on, I can simply link them with tags, and then I can cross-board search it to what it's relevant for. So I find that super cool. And I love the tag column. Wait, let me just get out of here. I don't know why it's not going to my boards. Okay. And yeah, and I'm not sure if you guys know what this is, but this is a status column and this is a date column. And the way I linked them together and did deadline mode is, let me undo this so I could show you guys, remove deadline mode. Basically what I want to do, I want to set as deadline. I want to take the status column, but I could take any status column I have, for example, the stage, but in this case, I want the status, and I want to connect the 2 columns. And here, I could do column settings. I could show it by day or year, and I can go here and give certain weightage to when something is done. So if something is done and it's green, I don't know if that's super clear, but if it's green, it's done. But I can always change that here. If something is pink, for example, it can also be done, for example. But it depends on how you work and what makes sense. So yeah, that's how you do deadline mode. Another cool thing I wanted to show you guys is automations. Now, automations are a great way to automate your workflow. Let me just get feedback from you guys. How many of you use automations? If you use automations, please send into the chat the number 1, just so I know who knows automations, how many of you know automations, and so on and so forth. Awesome. Thank you, Damien, Maggie, and Joshua. Whoever doesn't know, it would be great feedback as well, because I'm going to give you a brief explanation about automations as well. Okay, so automations, I'm not familiar. Great, Jackson. I'm going to tell you, this is a great way to automate your workflow and notify people or notify certain people when a date comes close to something, when a status changes. When a column changes, you can notify someone. So for example, if it's in the marketing stage, I can notify someone in the marketing department. So I definitely recommend taking a look at one of these automations. In this case, we can create one. It's like when designer is assigned, notify X person. So we could do that one quickly. when the designer changes, please start working on this. Notify or myself or the designer column. And whoever gets assigned to this column is going to be notified here in the bell notification. Let me just show you guys 3 automations that we have created on this board. So when a designer changes, notify designer. When status changes, notify designer. When state changes to ready to go, notify designer. So you can really be super flexible with this, build a recipe, look at all the automations, and definitely see what would help you make your flow easier. Awesome. Another thing I want to show you guys is the calendar view. So remember I told you guys how there's certain views. You can always choose the calendar view, and it's going to take your date column and your item and show certain things. So if I'm planning that designers can work on certain projects, I want to see the distribution, and when they're happening, I could see that here 2 projects are due. Here it's one is due on the 22nd, one on the 23rd. I can better allocate my resources and my designers and my projects. So the calendar view is just another nice way to look at things as well. And the last thing I want to show you guys, the last thing I want to show you guys is the chart view. I can choose a certain status. In this case, I want to see the status, and I want to see how much percentage is stuck, how much is in review, how much is published, and how much is working on it. And then I can see just another view of what's going on with that project for this month. Awesome. So now I want to go on to the next board. If you guys have any questions at any point, there's a Q&A box that you can save, and at the end, I'll look at every question that you guys ask. Now on to social media planning and design, like some of you wanted and said before. So the way we broke it down here is by months, but same, you can do this by a certain client, a certain project, a certain person, but I just like this overview because maybe I want to do like a yearly thing because I don't have that many posts, so I want to just do it by months. I can also do this week, next week, so on and so forth. So here I have the name of the social media post, for example. I have the writer, the content status, the designer, and with every person, I put a status column next to it, and then I see that they have to approve this. Once this is ready, I want to notify the manager. Once managers approve it, it's ready to go live on the publishing date. I use the tags like I showed you guys before, and this is a progress column. You can go here, more column, look for progress bar, and all your statuses can be connected to this, but you can also change that in the settings, give certain weightage to more. Maybe manager approval is worth more, so I can go ahead and change that here. I want it to be 50%, or I want to distribute the weight equally, or I want to take out one of them. So that's super cool, and once it's done, I'll see the progress bar change, which I think is a great way to have another visual of when something needs to be done by and what's the progress of it. And another way to do that is just a simple checklist column. Is it done? Is it not done? Is it ready to launch? Etc., etc. Very simple, yet very neat and very straightforward and to the point. What is going to be there? When is it going to launch? I could see it easily on the calendar view. If I want to distribute things in another way, I can do that. And I can also, let me just show you guys like a fun trick. It's super simple, but like we always have an ideas or talks group. And then this is a way for the team to communicate. And I want to write here, Miguel, make sure, second, let's mention her. Make sure the content is ready to go for the month of June by the end of the week. And this is a way at Monday that we communicate on a talks group, which we have almost on every board. That's just a little life hack or trick that we like to use. Dale, you're asking, in your example of social media planning, is there a way to set up one board as clients, then do a search for a month date range? What do you mean by then do a search for a month date range only for that client? Does that make sense? I really recommend, I'm going to show you guys dashboards later, that if you have 50 clients, in order to get a great overview in the dashboards is have each board for one client. Here, let me show you guys one client, for example. Sorry guys, I don't know why my internet is so slow. Okay. For example, projects for clients. So in this board, I divided specific clients and their requests and projects that I have to do for them and time tracked their, if I'm billing them on a monthly thing, I can always track my time and how long I'm doing something for the client. But what I recommend for you, if I have a certain client, this is an ice cream shop and this is my client. So this is the post I have decided for him for this month. This is the post for next month. And this is my upcoming ideas or talks group, as I told you. If you have one like this for each client, that would be great in your overview later in the dashboard. Does that make sense for you, Dale? Social media? Great. Okay, so now we're going to move on to, one second, marketing campaign tracking. And I know one of you wanted to see just a board of how to manage your team. We'll get to that at the end, hopefully, even though it's not that marketing oriented. Hey, Del, I'm glad that that made sense to you and that your question was answered. That's awesome. Okay, now, before we move on to the next board, let me just get feedback from you guys as I like to do. Was that clear and helpful? Write yes or no in the chat. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, you guys are so attentive and so supportive. That's so nice. Okay, awesome. So on to our next board, which looks a bit long and intense, but I'm going to explain you guys the thought process and you can tell me what you think. So this is my marketing campaign tracking board. I want to know what's live, what's planned, what's completed. But as I said before, you can customize each group as you want. And everything I'm showing you guys is obviously just ideas that I had, but I'm sure that you guys use it in super unique ways and can change and add and make these templates even better. So for example, I have my campaign, have who's in charge of it. I know if it's live or awaiting approval, the publishing date. Like I showed you guys before, I did a deadline. If I hover over something, I know how many days it's overdue and how many days it's done after the deadline. Category, I did a status column for whether it's an email, social media, blog post, website, exactly what I need or exactly where this campaign is running, who it's approved by, what platform it's for, what's the timeline for it. Now this is a timeline column where I found in a column center. Once I click on it, I can also see it here, and then I can see the distribution between my certain account manager and all the campaigns she has running. Then, as we know as marketers, we have a lot of things that we need to keep track of, as how much I spent, how many clicks, what was the cost per click, the conversion rate, and then I myself can rate it. Was it successful? Was it not? Just another overview to tell me how I felt the campaign ran according to the numbers that I got. And of course, you can do a link column that you can find in the column store, as I told you guys, which can link me directly to the campaign. And here I did a mirror column. Now a mirror column is super interesting. I can take a whole column from another board and have it here. So let me show you guys what I did. This is an email campaign, and I want to link it to my email marketing campaign board and the status of that campaign from another board. So what I want to take is this. I can go here, go to the plus sign, more columns. I can go to mirror column, link. I want to link it from a certain board, and I want to mirror the status column. And voila, everything I change here will be shown here, and everything I do here can be shown here. It's a great way to link another column from another board to your board. And I can also click on it and it'll show me the status of that item on this board. Who's in charge of it? When was it sent? Is it an active campaign? And what's the status of it? Super cool. Did you guys know about the mirror column? It's new and we love it. Dale, you asked, are there any restrictions to what columns you can link from another board? There's no restrictions. One restriction we do have though, it's only gonna send a certain, like for example, one column for the whole board. And you can choose from what group or what you wanna show. For example, here, I have to choose what group, and I have to choose a certain status. So, but it is only limited to one column each time, if that makes sense. For example, I want to show you guys the date it was sent. So I can go here, add column. I want to use the mirror column again. And I want to mirror. What? I'm sorry, guys. We start over. Technically, I can mirror two columns at the same time. Link from this board, and I want to show you guys the date this email campaign was sent. Boom. Super useful, super organized. I can click on it and see the board and the item, just as I told you guys before. So I love that, and for me, it's super helpful to see that as well, and just have like a budget and my timeline view. I find this board super, maybe a bit overwhelming, but super, super helpful when organizing campaigns. And now, to a bit more advanced integrations, I want to show you an email marketing campaign board and my integration with MailChimp. Now, so this is a lot of people who work with marketing campaigns, email marketing campaigns, sometimes use MailChimp. So what I did was, you go into here. By the way, guys, these are integrations. If you don't use them, you definitely should. And you have certain recipes you can use to connect their platform with monday.com and vice versa. I'm going to show you guys MailChimp. So basically what I did here is when a campaign is sent to a certain list that I created on MailChimp, create a post in this group, which I can show you guys how that happens. So when a campaign is sent to this group, create a post in active campaigns. So let's do that. I created a campaign before that I have ready, and I'm sending it. Send now. And then, ready for this? Okay, so I clicked it twice, but basically it came in. I can say the date that I sent the campaign. Okay, I'll show you the context in a second, and I can say that the status is sent and I was responsible for it. And the campaign just came into the first group, as I said in the automation. Another thing that I created, another automation, is sometime after a campaign was sent to this list that I just created, create a post with statistics in the group. How many opened the email, how many clicked on it, and so on and so forth. And it's going to come into this update section right here. Who was it sent to? How many opened it? What was the open rate? So on and so forth. So the statistics will come in as an update. And I can see who the contacts are because I did a link to pulse column, a link to item column from the contacts board. So these are my contacts that can automatically sync in with MailChimp, and I have linked them to here. If I want to know what group I was sent it to, it's group 1. And if I click on it, I can see that group 1 is for Instagram, and I sent it to them. For example, link to item, you guys can find here. Link to item. You select a certain board, for example, contacts, and I can select what I want to see from that item. Super useful, super helpful, super organized. How did you get the live statistics to display? That is a great question, Kamal. I went here. I created an automation beforehand, and it says 1 minute after a campaign was sent to this group, create a post with statistics. So we can do that still. Let me open the email that I sent out from MailChimp. I'm opening it, and let's see in a minute, which is already in the statistics. How many it was sent to, how many opened. In a minute, I'm sure it's going to update that total opens was 1 because we just opened it together. That's for you, Kamal. Dale, are there any restrictions? Okay, no, we already answered that. Cool. And now what I want to show you guys actually is a sneak peek of a Facebook integration we are going to have. So I'm going here. Let me show you guys a sneak peek. This is going to be our Facebook integration. You can create a date column. You can add another numbers column. Maybe it's cost per click. Maybe it's all these things that you guys want to know. It just depends on what you want to be imported from your Facebook ads. So you can go into integrations from there as well. Click Facebook, link your account, decide when you want to get this information, at what time of the day, or on a weekly basis, or on a monthly basis. Choose what account you're going to take it from. And here you have your mapping. What exactly do you want to be imported from Facebook? And we're super excited for this. We've been working on this for a long time, and we feel it's going to be like a game changer, and it's going to be out in 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that as well. For all you Facebook ad people in this webinar. And there you have it. All the active campaigns, what's their status, when they were created, how many clicks, how many impressions, so on and so forth. Awesome. Okay, so now that you saw the Facebook thing, we are now also working on creating, on enabling you guys to sync from multiple accounts, multiple Facebook ad accounts, so you can see active campaigns across multiple accounts, which is going to be awesome. And now, finally, for the dashboards, we have a thing called dashboards, and I'm sure you guys have heard about them. And there are certain things called widgets, and what dashboards do is they can extract information from multiple boards, a cross-board thing, and show you a widget. And there's all kinds. You can show numbers from certain columns from certain boards, status from multiple boards, timeline, and a lot more. I really suggest you look at this store and just choose widgets that are relevant to you. So for example, I want to get a numbers column and I want to see how much my marketing campaign tracking is, and the columns that I want to include is the conversion rate. I can click a few as well. And then also put here conversion rate and just create a report or dashboard that helps me understand from a few boards or a few projects or a few clients even how much I spend on a certain campaign that I ran on a few clients, or honestly any way you want. This is, I use the status widget. Basically I went here, chose a certain board that we saw together, and I can use also multiple boards as well, and I can see certain columns from all these boards. But just for the sake of this example, I want to do the banner and landing page request and see the distribution of the status. I could do done and then click on them and see what items are connected to this battery widget. So 33% is in the idea phase, 11% is done, and it's just another way to view what's going on with your team and what's ready. Let me show you guys. You can also import a certain table or board just to see maybe certain team members and what they're working on.